Hey there, folks. Thanks for checking out the Rebel Lane podcast. If you're a new viewer, and you probably are because this is our second episode, make sure afterwards you click the link, wherever the link is, to subscribe to our podcast. The Rebel Lane was set up for people who are in their space but might be just a little bit different or consider themselves a little bit rebellious. So if you know someone, want to nominate someone, or you are someone that fits that category, get in touch with us, please, at rebellane@cymmedia.com. Again, Rebel, REBEL Lane, at cymmedia.com. Come on, be a guest, grab a seat in the chair, and talk about what you're up to. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode. So we're here talking today to Jennie Wolfe from WellWolfe Coaching. I have a really important question to ask, which is this your very first podcast ever?
It is.
That's pretty cool. This is my second, so we'll see how it goes.
We'll see what happens.
So thanks for coming in. With our last segment, we had a conversation with another coach. We're continuing our conversation with coaches, and I have it that everybody has kind of a little different take on what coaching is in the world, so I'd love to hear about what yours is, what you're up to.
Yeah, thanks. So, I think there's a lot of coaches right now in the world. There's a lot of people calling themselves coaches, and what I have realized for myself is that it's really what I bring into this industry is my background in mindfulness. And it's more about, a lot of people hire a coach because they want advice, they want to get fixed, they want someone to come in and save them, which I've done that before, guilty. But the thing that I really do in this world is I partner with my clients and have them really take ownership over what they're doing in their life and help them cultivate a relationship with themselves. I really believe that the most significant relationship that we have is the one with ourselves. And the best thing that I can do with my clients is to demonstrate that in partnership with them. And so that's what I'm up to.
I love it. You mentioned the word mindfulness, and I know that that's like a buzzword. That's like a really on-trend thing. So both, I guess, like to highlight it, and also like I'm just curious, what the heck is that, and is that a part of what you do? Just in case someone's listening and is like, I keep hearing mindfulness, and I don't know what it actually means.
Yeah, I even realized, I roll my eyes when I even hear the word, but I use it. So yeah, I think the biggest thing is that mindfulness is really about pausing and listening to ourselves. I really am a big believer in intuition and in living from that place, following our heart. It sounds super cheesy, I know, but I am a huge believer in pausing and taking our time to figure out what it is that we really want in this world. We tend to be very go, 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 hustle. I know that that's been my MO in my life, is to really just keep going, keep achieving. It's always about the next thing. And my practices in mindfulness, which have included yoga and meditation and journaling and really just self-discovery, have assisted me in actually developing a life that I'm ecstatic about. So that's what I do with my clients.
Very cool. I noticed that you said taking a pause, that you're a fan of taking a pause. And the minute you said that, I went, because it's funny, unless someone's there to prompt you, I don't think enough of us actually have conscious awareness of sometimes you just need to take a break before you act or before you say something or before you think. So I think that's super cool. I think that's neat. You said you do a little bit of yoga, you do that in your background. How did you get over into coaching?
Yeah, good question. So my background is in wellness. It's funny, I look back and, I started out as I was a bodybuilder, which is kind of
nice
to be unexpected. But that actually, I was going to go to school to be an attorney, and that really changed my life, that experience. of transforming my body and eating differently and working out and just seeing how much my body transformed. And so when I went to school, I ended up changing my degree to dietetics, nutrition, and becoming a personal trainer and coaching people in that way of transforming their bodies. And I realized that through that process that really it was about people's mindset and what they had going on internally that actually impacted how they showed up and whether they showed up for themselves in the gym or not, or whether they fed themselves well or not. And so I just got really interested in psychology, really. And so I really took a weird route with that and started studying yoga because there's a lot of research that blends these two fields together. And then I decided to go to become a certified coach. I hired a coach first and saw the transformation. And honestly, I feel like I need to say this because I think this is so important. I was like, what is a life coach anyway? Because, do you just go to a yoga teacher training and then all of a sudden you become a life coach? And I mean, no offense to anybody that is trying to help people at all, but it was really important to me, and it always has been really important to me to be educated and making sure that I have the tools and the support so that I can help somebody else, and more importantly, that I'm actually doing it myself. And so I continue to work with a coach, but it went from wellness into more mindset, but I still kind of infuse these two worlds together because I believe that it's important that we take care of ourselves.
Very cool. I know that you are about to take off on a new program that you're offering. And I want to talk about it. But before I get there, if someone is literally just out in the world Googling coach, wellness, those kind of things, to find you, who is that person? Like, who's the ideal client that you work with? Who is someone that you should actually follow through with that email or that phone call?
Yeah. So I think that if you are someone that is starting this path of getting curious about how you're getting in your own way, and you're interested in intuition, spirituality, developing the relationship with yourself, then I'm your coach. I think that, if you're starting out in that, the program that we're about to talk about is really ideal for you. If you've been doing it for a while, if you've been doing meditation practices, you've been kind of dabbling in personal development, then working privately with me is usually the best way to do that because we can dive in a little bit deeper.
Cool. And so that kind of naturally leads right over to the conversation about the program that you're up to. So tell us a little bit, because we're talking about how people are in their space or in their field and do things a little bit differently and are proud of what they're offering that's a little bit different than the status quo or the road well-traveled in their industry. So tell me a little bit about your program.
Yeah. I think I kind of want to tell you a little bit about the origin of it first, because I think that that's really important. And there's a study that's it's a 75-year-long study that Harvard did about relationship, or really about to find the biggest predictor of human health and happiness. And they studied these men for 75 years. I think they're actually still studying them, which is pretty amazing. And maybe we can link the study in the show notes. But what they found out was that it had nothing to do with money. It had nothing to do with, what job you had or anything like that. The biggest predictor of human health and happiness is actually our relationships, and not just the amount of relationships that we have, but the quality of the relationships that we have. And that's something that for me has always been really important. Since I was 18, I had started going to therapy at 18 because of some stuff that I had gone through. And that's how I answered the question my therapist asked me, what do you want to get out of this? And I was like, I want to have really good relationships, because I didn't have, like most of us, have good examples of what that looked like. So this is really where this program started. This is why I do what I do, because what I have come to realize, and there's also research on this, that it starts with us. We can go around and we can have all these relationships, but if we're not actually intimate enough with ourselves, and when I say intimate, like if we don't know ourselves and really identify what we want, then we can't really dive deep with other people. And so that's why I do what I do. This program is really about, having people feel fulfilled and happy, and just, I use the word ecstatic, but really like ecstatic about their life. A lot of people come to me and they feel like they got the cake, they're excited about their life, or they maybe be like, it's okay. And they feel guilty about even wanting something different. And I say that we put the icing on the cake. So how can we put the icing on the cake and make it even better? So this program was really developed. I've developed it over the course of basically like a year and a half. I've put in my background of mindfulness in, there's that word again. And it starts, the first part of this is a 6-month program, and it starts all about connection. So we talk about what is our vision, what do we actually want to bring into this world, and there's certain tools and things that we do to actually dive into that. There's a membership site where you have access to all of the material, but then the most important part is the coaching. And that's the biggest difference, I think, between what I do and what other people do, is that some coaches are really facilitative, and I really like facilitation too. I love meeting goals and getting to certain places, and we definitely do that. But the other part of what I do is ontological coaching, which is really looking at how we're showing up in pursuit of those goals. And this is what this program does, is really changes who we're being in the world and how we're showing up, because we have to develop a different way of doing that. Otherwise, we're going to get the same results.
Cool. When you describe what the program looks like what someone should expect when they register or enroll or whatever apply, I guess. I don't know what word you use for your program. But so if they've signed up, they're getting ready to join your program, they're getting ready to kick things off. Tell me specifically a little bit about what they can expect from like a logistics standpoint, or what the actual program looks like from that end.
Ooh, are we going to talk logistics? I love logistics.
Just a little bit.
Moving from the heart to the mind here. So, so when we start, I usually start off with a kickstart call with my clients, just to make sure that they're set up for success, making sure that we know what they want to get out through that 6 months. They get access to the membership site. We set up our one-to-one calls. So a lot of them, it's a hybrid program, so they get 6 private calls with me still, because I want to still have that customized approach. I think that's really important. And then we also have our group calls. So I only have 5 or 6 spots in each cohort, and I want to keep it that way. I want to keep it pretty intimate so that people have enough time to ask questions. But we actually do group coaching every single week for that 24-week program. And then the modules are released to go along with the program, and you get access to all the resources. There's meditations and a bunch of other fun things on there that people find out about. Ooh, the other thing, one reason why I did this, because it's about relationships again, is the community. I think that that's really important. It was really important to me that we're going to be able to talk amongst each other and talk about our process and share that. And so I didn't want this to be on social media. I know a lot of coaches put their communities on social media, so I decided to really to take it to Slack, which is an app where we can our cohort can just talk, and I can kind of see what's going on, and we can help and share and develop the relationship with each other in that place.
Very cool. I know that we're having a conversation about the potential of having one of your cohort members join us midway through the process, and then potentially at the end. So yeah, I think that might be super cool. If you're open to it, we may have a conversation with several people. We can have them all in and get their experience about what you're up to and check it out. That's very cool. If I were looking for a breakthrough in my life, if I were looking for accountability in my life, if I were looking for a cohort or a program, but there are things that are typically in the way of me jumping into that, what are the kind of things that make people go, oh, I mean, support would be great, reaching my goals would be great, but I don't want to because, and then they have this reason not to do it. Like, I just got a personal trainer for the first time in my life, 5 weeks ago, but I've been saying I want to get supported in that way for like 10 years. And there was always something. So I imagine that people that do this may also come up against like resistance to doing this kind of thing. Talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Well, I think a lot of us, I just want to put this out there, a lot of us are scared of reaching our potential because then we're like, what will happen? If I'm really in my power and I'm really doing my life like the way that I want to be doing, like, then what? It's like anything's possible. And that can feel scary. I know it does for me sometimes. And so, of course, I want to humanize that we're going to have resistance, we're going to have blocks, we're going to have things that tell us no. And know that, like, if your heart and your gut is telling you that, like, you need to get support and you really see something for yourself on that, I mean, I say go with it. But you got to take that leap and you got to choose something different if you want something different.
Wow. I like that. What is your favorite part about what you do?
Relationships. I mean, I feel like I'm just going to keep on talking about that. But, I think this was even one of my favorite things when I was training, is that seeing people go through this process. But the thing is that, like, I do it myself too. So I'm consistently, and that's the thing too, is you realize the work's never done. Like, this is a journey, and I still, in the back of my mind, I'm like, there's a place that I'm going to get to, and then I'm going to check the box, and we're going to be done, and then I'm not going to have to do it anymore. And I've done that. Like, I've done that in my life, and there's been like lulls of time. So I think realizing this when I'm in relationship with people, realizing it's really about like the basics. It's very simple. When it comes down to it, when we want to change our life, we have to change how we're showing up, and we got to look at ourselves. So I think it's just the recognition and the constant reminder that it is the simple things, it's the little things, is probably the second favorite thing about my job besides the relationships.
Very cool. So I asked this of all of our guests, and, well, all of our guests being you're the second guest, so I plan to ask this of the other guests too. But I would love it if you could issue a challenge, something for the audience, people who are listening, to play with, to experiment with, to grab a hold of if it suits them. What's something you'd like the audience to try or practice to take on, or a challenge to rise to, I guess is the way to put it.
Love it. So I would say make a list of all the things that you've been wanting to do. Sit with yourself and just write it down. You might be surprised, but I call this thing like the little black box that we put all of our hopes and our dreams into. We're like, I want to write a book, or I want to get a personal trainer, or I want to change my life, or whatever it is. And we put it in the box. And then we go back to work, and we're just like consistently filling that box with things that we really want. And so I think the first thing to do is like unpack your little black box, make a list of some of the things that you want, just see what comes up, and then maybe take one action towards that. It's not enough just to write it down, but we do have to take action. But I think if you just take one action towards one of those things and just do that each day, or even once a week.
Nice.
See what happens.
I hear the challenge. I think it's super cool, and there might be an opportunity in the actual comments underneath the show that people can kind of list out one of the things that they're taking action towards that came out of that. So maybe that's that. Let's tell them to put it right in the comments.
I would love that.
I don't know what camera Scott has on in the room or not, so I'll look at all three of them. This one over here. So she said, unpack the. I love the metaphor of where did you come up with the idea of this little black box? I love that.
So I was sitting with this, and I just realized, I think I was having a conversation with one of my clients, and I'm like, we were kind of going back and forth, and I think that's where it came from. But what I realized is it's like, when the plane goes down, they get the black box and they find out what happened. So the little black box is the thing that we carry with us. It sounds morbid, y'all, but if you do not open your little black box, you will die with it. So don't.
I mean, I guess it sounds morbid, but it also sounds super powerful. So the challenge that Jenny's got for you is to make a list of things that you want out of your life? Let's put one of those in the comments. So where are you taking action? Where are you stepping up?
Let's start with
action?
you, Kevin. What do you say?
I got the trainer 4 weeks ago. I'm done now for at least 5 years. I also started a podcast, and you're the second person on it. So I'm working through the list. I like it. It's probably because I've met a whole bunch of coaches in my life. So I get constant cheerleading towards it. But yeah, no, I think I'll come up with a third and put it in the comments. I love the challenge. So thanks for bringing it. Before I lose you, obviously we want to point people to the right direction. Where do they find you? Social media, Instagram, all those things, your website, those kind of things. So tell them where to find you and where to get started.
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram. That's probably the best place to find me. And it's at Jennie Wolfe. So Jennie's with an I-E, Wolfe's with an E. I know, complicated. I like to keep things complicated. And my website is the same. It's JennieWolfe.com. And to extend the challenge, I do have a free little worksheet that they can go through to really start to integrate this work into their life. So if they want to check that out, they can start with their once. I do a little thing that's called stop shoulding on yourself. If you want to know more.
You said shoulding on yourself correctly.
Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to be clear.
Yeah. I don't know if we're allowed to cuss on here, but I did say should.
Should. Got it.
No more shitting on yourself. You probably shouldn't shit on yourself either.
That one either. What's the website again?
It's JennieWolfe.com.
JennieWolfe.com. Very cool. Please check her out on JennieWolfe.com. Before you go, and I promise I'm about to let you leave, but we get done, we call exit, we leave, we get in the car, and we think, I should have talked about that thing. What's the thing? Is there anything that you've left that you haven't talked about? That it doesn't have to be in order of what we're talking about today. Just throw it out there.
Yeah. So, it's funny. I call myself a mindset coach, but one of the things that I've been thinking about is it's really about our heart. And I started doing some research on this, and our heart, it's precognitive, which means that it actually sends information to our brain. And I did not know this. And that is fascinating to me because I feel like, and if you're a science person, then you can also be like, oh yeah, there's actually something here. But what ends up happening is our subconscious mind will shut it down. And so when you write out your want list, have it come from heart. Don't have your mind shut it down and just see what comes up. So I just think that that's really important for people to know that our heart actually is precognitive. It actually sends information to our brain. So it has I think it's called neurons or something. I don't know. But okay, now we're getting too far into the science direction.
I don't think it's too far at all. I think it's super awesome, and I'll look it up.
But this is all new to me, but this is something that I find fascinating, and that's a lot of the work that I do with my clients is really to get them connected to their intuition and their heart and see and live from that place and see what it would be like, and then we take fierce action in that direction, which that's be well, be wild.
Oh, I love it. Check her out online, JennieWolfe.com. And also, thanks for coming in today. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk about what you're up to and share it with us. I'm going to take a nomination from you as to some other differentiator or rebel that's out there that might want to come in and talk about what they're up to. But sincerely, thank you for doing it, and thanks for being a guest.
Thanks for having me, Kevin. I appreciate it.
You got it. We'll check in with you and a member of your cohort about halfway through, and then towards the end. When does the first cohort start?
So we actually are starting this week for the first cohort.
Kicking it
So
off
we
with a
have
kickoff.
we have a waiting list starting for the next one. So,
All right.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, we'll follow along with your progress and can't wait to see what you guys are up to.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks again for being here.